Hello again, everyone. Today we'll be developing once again this multiplayer Backrooms game, which is Stuck in the Backrooms, which will be available on Steam soon. But first, let me just check if everything's running perfectly. Okay, we're live streaming now. Oh no, what? Okay. Yeah, so what we'll be doing today is fixing some multiplayer aspects of the game. Uh, I just fixed something which is uh, the so imagine when I was playing the game, a multiplayer game, I noticed something which is, as you can see here, the foot of this one. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Wait. Um, so as you can see, the foot placement is now perfect or almost perfect. So as you can see, his feet is aligned with the ground, so it doesn't overlap. It doesn't overlap the ground. It's almost perfect, so it feels like it is realistic because the feet is above the ground and like touching it. Okay, so I just fixed that. Um, okay. The next thing I want to implement is the crouch system, which is not replicating correctly. Uh, Let me just start once again the game. And here, when I crouch, as you can see, in the first thing you notice is that in the left screen, as I'm moving this player, so as you can see, the player's knees. Wait a second. Yeah, so the the player's knees are under the ground, and the rest of his leg. So the thing I want to implement is just this replicated crouch system, so it works perfectly because I don't want to have um any errors or any mistakes in the game. Okay. Mm, so we'll need to have a view on this because the default crouch system of Unreal Engine is pretty much replicated, but I didn't use the default system. I created my own, and uh, here, so as you can see here, when I click the key, which is Control, left Control or C, either one of those keys, when I click it, it replicates to the server, and then oh wait, okay, and then it is just an event. Okay, maybe let me try something here. So, but first is crouched replicated variable, and so what it does is it pretty much verifies. So if the player is not crouched, I mean, it will set is crouched, so it will crouch, and then it will set the max walk speed, which is the max velocity of the player. It will set it to 250, and the base velocity is 600. So as you can see, it's like uh so it is less than half. It's like minus 350, and then what it does here, we have a timeline, and as we're updating the timeline, it sets the capsule half height to so it's what it so it just keeps up with the player, with the mesh of the player, and uh updates the height of the capsule, so the hitbox of the player. And then we set here what? Okay. We set the relative location here. Okay, so in this time it will go from okay, so the mesh mm, maybe the problem is here. Okay. What if I don't do this? But okay, let me just check something first. Oh, okay, I know what I did here. Um, yeah, so this was just a bug I was having, and I found a solution for that, which is not a real solution, it's just a temporary one. And so I'm setting here so the x and y, and then from z set relative location of what? Oh, okay, of the spring arm. So okay, let me try to do something here. What if I break this link and just connect these two pins? I want to check what happens. So first let me check with only single player. Here one person, okay. I see. Okay. So we gotta have that because else it is, or else it is going to, so when I crouch it goes from 0 to -30. Location X. Okay, no, I mean it goes from less 126 to, okay, so we just sum up. Okay, I see. So we just sum up 65 values. Okay. Now let me test it again. Okay. What? So this is a more complex replicated system which I have to do, but let's test here something. If we multicast this, let me check what happens. So here, when I crouch, oh, okay, we're just floating. So it is pretty much doing on server, but we don't want that to happen. Let's try something. So if we don't replicate this variable, so is crouched, if it isn't replicated, let me search for something. What means having a replicated variable in Unreal Engine? I just want to go deep in it. That is copied from the server to clients. This allows the state of the variable to be replicated across the network. Oh, we don't want that because we don't want every player to be crouched at the same time. So what we're gonna have. Calma. Olha, então tu recebeste a notificação, então. Ahm, calma. Não, as portas já não estão a abrir ao contrário, olha aqui. Espera aí. Deixa eu ir aqui a um mapa. Ou eu posso meter aqui uma porta, simplesmente. Ou vou meter aqui uma porta no meio do nada. Onde é que está? Está aqui. Oh. E agora meti dois jogadores. Já agora deixa eu ver aqui uma coisa. Mas pronto, ó. Eu não consigo passar. Isto não está replicado, mas não, já não está a abrir ao contrário. Ok. Hum, yeah. Olha, pois é, como é que tu fizeste. Como é que tu foste para casa naquele dia que nós fomos ver o filme? É que nós, tipo, nós estávamos a fazer uma brincadeira quando tu entraste lá no casino. Estás a ver? Ah, calma para já, tu achas que respondes? Mas quando tu entraste no casino, nós dissemos tipo, eia, bora começar a andar mais rápido que é para ele não nos encontrar. Mas nós esquecemos que tu não tinhas bateria no telemóvel e o teu telemóvel estava todo bugado. Então depois, tipo, lembrámos-nos e começámos à tua procura, mas nunca mais te encontramos. Pois, foste de comboio e deves ter ido é primeiro do que nós. E consegui, mas depois como é que, tipo, tu foste até casa? Ah, ok, sim, porque tu tens até lá Sete Rios depois. Vais até Sete Rios. Sete Rios. Sete Rios. E depois, pronto, vais até a andar até casa. Mas isso foi bastante estranho. Mas ok, vá, continuando isto aqui. Eu vou estar aqui a falar tipo em inglês porque eu estou. Eu tenho mesmo de avançar isto. O que é que eu quero fazer? Ah, agora esqueci-me. Ah, eu queria testar aqui uma coisa. Então tenho de abrir aqui isto. Mas se depois fores embora da live, adiós. Se fores. Então vamos lá ver isto. Tal. Agora quando eu agacho. Ok. Pois isto não está a ser replicado totalmente. Isto está meio comido. Ok, a animação não está a ser replicada. Ok. Hum, já tenho os bilhetes para ir lá mais. Eu sei, eu sei. Eu já estive a falar com a minha mãe e ela já me disse isso. Já temos os bilhetes. Ah, então eu preciso de replicar também a animação. Como é que eu vou fazer isso? Vou ter de pesquisar. Não, antes de pesquisar vou aqui ver só uma coisa. Como é que era a crouch? Aí eu tenho tantas. Tenho tanta coisa aqui. Já tenho. Como assim? Já temos, já tenho. Ei, espera aí. Ah, tu é que ficaste com os bilhetes. Calma, ok? Ok, também é comido. Hum, já percebi porque é que isto antes não estava a funcionar. Ok. Agora que Estou a ver aqui coisas. O que é que eu ia mesmo fazer? Ver rap. Pois aqui eu sei. Ai. Então vou pesquisar por DP, first person. Não. Character aqui. Aim offset. Tá. Eu fiquei com os bilhetes, as mensagens demoram quase 1 minuto a chegar. Oh, já sei porquê. Lol, espera aí. É mais fácil mandares por WhatsApp. Eu também tenho aqui o WhatsApp aberto. Olha, o meu pai mandou mensagem e eu dei visto e esqueci-me de responder. Mas. Calma, deixa eu ver aqui uma coisa. Ah, ehm, ok, o que é que faltava aqui fazer? Então, se eu já tenho aquilo. Se eu quiser. Para já, deixa eu ver aqui uma coisa. Se eu quiser que isto só vá para o cliente que clicou no botão para agachar. Vou dormir amanhã, falamos na boa. Adiós, tchau. Se eu quiser isto aqui, agacho. E quem é que eu estou a agachar? Porque é que agora isto está tudo bugado? Hum, vamos testar com Ok, so back to speaking English. So we're testing the crouch system and its replication, but for that I need to fix some things first. So we're running this on owning client. So what happens here? Okay, when I click crouch, they both crouch, and I don't want that. I don't want them. Okay, alright, buddy. And when I crouch this one, so when I crouch the server, they both crouch, and when I crouch the client, they both crouch, but the client glitches. Okay, I see. How? No. Okay, here. So when I crouch, it replicates to the server. Why? What if I just connect this here? Let me check. Okay, so it's not replicated to the server. Yeah. It needs to be replicated here. Okay. But so we replicate the crouch to the server, then the server replicates to owning client. And what was happening was that when I was a server, when I was wait, just what is okay? When I was a server, they were both crouching and no glitches. So when I was a server, it was replicating. Okay, this is like multiplayer systems are hard to understand sometimes, and I don't have that much experience with these types of servers and networks. Mm, yeah, so they are both crouching on the server. Uh, so when I'm a server, they both crouch. Actually, they crouch independently on if it's the server or the client. But when I'm the client, when I'm the server, I replicate it to owning client. But no, I need to search something. How to replicate view but not action in Unreal Engine. To replicate a view but not an action, you can use replication conditions to control how properties replicate. You can also use C++ to override a base class and add specific logic. Yeah, but I don't want to use written C++. I just want to use blueprints. Replicate on server, not on client. Is that I cannot modify an array from the client, but I can from okay. Let me check this Gorka Games basics. Multiple. What I was missing to wrap my head around setting up. Okay. Sometimes it's not that linear. Okay. So he's just showing now that it doesn't replicate. Yeah. Okay. Mm. Okay, so um, I need to check that with the crouch system. So okay, all right. Yep. Okay. Save selected once again. And what we want to do is with this crouch event is going to be replicated with multicast. And let me actually see something here. Okay. Ah. Okay. So then, what we want to do is just break these links and connect this. So when I press it, and we want to test on server, so it must be working now on server. That's what's supposed to happen. Uh. So if I'm here, let's switch it to server. When I, you see, it goes for both of them. Okay. Yeah. Executes on all. Yeah, okay. Um, the thing is that it's I did the same thing, exactly the same thing. Okay, replicate this executes on all. Yeah, but here we have a giant method. Uh, let's try it with some other thing, which is the whistle. I want to check if the whistle is working. Oh, um, whistle. Save your tears for another day. Mm. Hold cake, enable most crucial aspects so player can interact with the environment, decrease field of view. Okay, whistle executes on all. Uh, okay, so input interaction. Okay, replication server whistle, then whistle executes on all, and it plays a sound at the player's location. Yeah, it must be working. So what if I... Okay, I don't have the... What if I delay it here? Delay. And let's make a 3-second delay so I can actually try to understand this. Okay. Okay, it is working. As you can see, it is replicated. So when I'm here and I whistle 3 seconds later, yeah, I hear it from him. And if I do the same thing here, so first let's check if it's working on server. It is, and then we do it from the client. Okay, it is working. So the whistle is working. So the problem must be with the animation, because when we're making this, the code is working, but why isn't it working? So we're gonna need to separate it in parts so we can find the solution. Uh, range is crouched. Hmm. Executes on all. So if the local client is not crouched, it will set this. Mm, I'm gonna need to set here something visible, hidden in game, so we can actually see the hitbox of the player. As you can see now, when you crouch here, yeah, it reduces. Oh, so but that one stays the same. Interesting. So the capsule reduction isn't really affected by the client on the server. Okay. What 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 here? It's the same. I see. So the animations are replicated, but the capsule height affection isn't. Okay, nice. At least we discovered a variable. Mm, so it is replicating here. It is replicating the line transmission. Okay. So it is replicating, but it's not here. The problem. I see. It's not here. The problem is in the animation blueprint replication stuff. So let's go actually to the character anim bp event blueprint update animation. Uh, so speed replicated is falling, replicated, direction not replicated. Hmm. Okay. Uh, sequence sets if it's crouching or not. What if I just do that? I want to check what happens if I just do that. Because now it isn't replicating to the other guy. So I'm on the client. When I crouch, okay. He crouches with me, but okay, it's the same, so it doesn't change anything. Okay, but let's stay with that. Um, let's go here. Is crouching can enter transition. When I crouch on one client, the other also crouches in Unreal Engine. When the other clients also crouch because the animation changes are replicated between clients. This happens in multiplayer environments. Animation changes need to be replicated between clients and the server. For example, when a character crouches, the local player will only see their eyesight location move down. However, other players will see the crouched player's body. Mm. Let's actually go for ChatGPT here. Let's just copy this. With the multiplayer setup in Unreal Engine and running into character replication issues. If one client crouching and not makes another client's character crouch too, you're likely updating the crouch state in a way that affects all instances. handle input on the client. Player presses crouch, input handled. I see. What if I never tried this, but what if I let me okay, I think the problem is in the animation blueprint. If the crouch logic itself is working, only your player sends the input, the server gets it, and only the character should crouch. But the animation shows every player crouching, then yeah, it's likely in your animation blueprint setup. Yeah, you're probably using a shared variable or referencing the wrong pawn in your probably yeah in your NMBP. Like maybe your checking is crouched from the player character on the local client, but applying it to all animations. I see. Yeah, that is really the problem. Okay. Owning pawns variable in your animation, make sure you're getting the crouch state from the correct character instance. Do this in the animes graph event blueprint update animation function. So okay, it's here. Get player pawn. It's here. Uh, try get pawn owner. Try get pawn owner. Maybe it's just this that I need to change. I need to use ChatGPT more for this. Let me check for these solutions. Okay. Yeah. Um. Okay, but now we have a new problem. Yeah, but now. Okay. Yeah, it's working. It was that. Okay. He helped me. But I check something here. Yeah, the problem now is because it is going so much down. I see. Yeah, but now at least, yeah. The thing we need to do now, let's evaluate the problem. Okay. Okay. What is happening now is that here on the code, we set the capsule half height to this value to 50 when we crouch, but here it isn't doing it properly. We're not going to this, so this is not replicating really. Uh Let me think. So minus 126. Okay, let me do something. Windows S. Mm, let's copy this, and here let's ask for help. So now the animations are working proper. The animations and the capsule half height with the reduction is working properly. The thing is that the players needs no is that this part of the code that sets the player's relative location a bit up, plus 65. Now the animations and the capsule height reduction is working properly. The thing is that this part of the code that sets the player's relative location a bit up isn't replicating. Wait, I need to check something first. But it isn't replicating, but also it isn't working. Hmm. Wait, the problem now. Wait, I didn't check something here first. Okay. What if the problem is here? Let's make a comment here. B minus 61. And let's change it to 0. Let's see if it is being replicated. Oh, I see. I see. Because when it finishes, it doesn't set it finished. No. Let me check something now. I'm thinking about something now. So it is keeping up with that, but when it finishes the timeline, it teleports down. It glitches down. Wait a second. So it's not dependent on that. What it is dependent. So here it's B50. Let me check something first. Let's put this as 80. Okay. Hmm. It is dependent. We shouldn't be doing that. The thing is that, okay, I know what's happening, and it is a problem with the first we need this as 50, but the problem is in the animation itself. What I mean by that is every time, okay, we don't need this anymore. Because we understood the assignment. So we shouldn't be really, I shouldn't be really doing all of this, because this consumes so much resources, and also because it gives us so much problems, and we should be fixing the animation itself. But it's not precise as it may be. And one thing here, okay, now I understand so much more things. Yeah. Okay. Crouch walk. Crouch idle. Imagine if I try here. Let me just explain what's happening. The thing is that this animation, the crouch animation, has an offset, a z coordinate, z axis offset. So here, if I change use animation offset, for example, if I use the running, it is perfectly fine, as you can see. But then when I use the crouch one, crouch forward, uh, it is also fine, so it's the problem. Mm. Oh, I understood. I understood. Okay. We're gonna have to do something here. Mm. Let's try here something. Let's set the relative location. On finished, let's set it to minus 126. Mm, no, it will cause a problem there. This has so much. Okay, we're gonna have to check if it's crouched. So is, let's search for is crouched variable. We're gonna need a branch on finished. If the player is crouched, we want to set the relative location here to so that minus 30 here to minus 30. Actually no, only on 0 and 126. Let's not minus, wait, this is actually minus, and we want the mesh. Let's see. So it's the same. Nothing changed. The problem isn't here. Okay, what have I written? Now the animations and the capsule half height reduction is working properly. The thing is that this part of the code that sets the player's relative location a bit up isn't working prop wait a bit. So it is working properly here. Mm, no. Now the animations in the capsule half height reduction is working properly. The thing is that this part of the code that sets the player's relative location a bit up isn't working uh, isn't working on when I start the game with 2 plus with uh, greater or equal to 2 players. That helps a lot. You're saying that when you play with 2 or more players, the crouch height change works, the capsule adjusts the animation triggers, but the part where the player's relative location is offset upwards plus doesn't seem to do anything in multiplayer. Here's what most likely going on and how to solve it. The core issue, the location update you're doing, the set relative location is likely running only on the client, and Unreal Engine doesn't replicate that change across the network by default. In single player or listen server, one player it works fine, but with 2 plus players, the other clients or server don't see that relative movement because it's not replicated. No. What? No. No. It works fine in single player, but in multiplayer it doesn't work for anyone, even the owning client. Ah, gotcha. Thanks for the clarification. That's a huge hint. It doesn't work for anyone in multiplayer, not even the owning client. So it's not a replication issue per se. It sounds more like the timeline of or the logic isn't firing at all in multiplayer. Bro, since the character BP only runs full logic on the owning line, there's a key rule. Timelines do not tick or play unless they are run on an actor that has tick enabled and is owned by the local player. If the crouch logic is inside a character that doesn't have a local control, or if it is triggered in a way that doesn't replicate, then the timeline just doesn't do anything. Oh, I see. Wait. No, but it does. How to fix move timeline logic to the server if your crouch trigger comes from an input It's running on a local. You need to call run on server custom event from then. Let's print string this. Crouch slash on crouch. I found that the problem is that when I change the capsule height, it adjusts where the mesh will stay. Because of that, the crouch animation, the mesh of the player when I crouch stays under the ground. You're changing the capsule half height, and Unreal automatically repositions the mesh relative to the new capsule to keep it centered vertically. But your blueprint is also manually trying to offset the mesh upward, and now it's ending up under the ground because it's getting double offset or wrongly adjusted. This is a classic gotcha when modifying capsule size at runtime. Here's how to fix it properly. Let Unreal, okay, adjust the mesh downward so it stays in the same world position but now lower. Remove your custom set relative location on the mesh and test it. It might just work as expected. Lock mesh location when what if here. Get the mesh and just put it minus 26. Let's try new things. Let's break this link. We gotta lock in. So this doesn't do anything. Um, Let me see something. Okay. Let me actually try to do something. What if I put this as minus 50? It was minus 61. Hmm. Let's put this as minus 56. I see why I put this at minus 61, but now let's check if this is all working on single player. Crouch, he crouches and we can go. Okay. Yeah, it is working, but now when we go with 2 players on listen server, let's try it on client first and then on server. So on client, I crouch and he goes, okay. Then on server, I crouch, okay, it is working on server. On client it isn't, but on server it is. Only the client stays under the ground and views the server under the ground. No, client server. So I'll actually need to do it again. So here the client, I crouch and he's under the ground for both. Okay. On server, okay. So client views and goes under the ground. views. Vai dormir? Não. Temos tempo todo de férias. Já, continuando isto. Eu estou de férias, eu fico acordado até bué da tarde. Ah, é 1h39. É 1h23. Estás meio comido. Ok, o que é que eu ia dizer agora? E agora fizeste-me perder o raciocínio. Vai-te a dormir que tu deves estar com sono. 3 a ver agora? O que é que está mais a ver? Já, não sei. Ok. Eu estava a fazer isto aqui. Client views and goes under the ground. Views client under the ground, but goes but crouches normally. When you change the capsule half height on the client, Unreal auto adjusts the mesh based on local prediction, but this does not replicate cleanly to the server's client's own view. Mesh is offset incorrectly. Come on. Okay. Mesh is offset incorrectly, ends up underground. Server and other clients view of that client. Mesh is also underground. On crowd works fine because server is authoritative. Everything adjusts as expected. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Only change the capsule height on the server. Okay. Do not set capsule half height directly on the client. Set capsule half height, adjust mesh camera, set replicated variables. That way the server controls the capsule size and the mesh stays correctly aligned for everyone. Let the server replicate mesh adjustment if you're doing set relatively on the mesh or spring arm for visual crouch offsets. Set capsule half height will automatically offset the mesh. Unless you check do not adjust mesh. What? There isn't even an option for that. Unreal assumes capsule size changes are authoritative. Clients doing it locally may get dissensed or visually glitchy. crouch call server crouch toggle on the server. If not crouched, crouch, right? Mm. Mm. Update overlaps. Mm. Okay. Bro, whenever I try to find a solution for this, I just end up in a like a no way out maze. Wait, I forgot a word here. Alley. Ali. Mm. But I want the code to be on, but I'm using an RPC. But since Tissue still that tells us it might not be doing what you think it's doing, or it's being called on the wrong machine. Here's what you should double check in your reliable. Let's check here reliable and reliable here. What is reliable in replication Unreal Engine? my RPC is just like this. Now I'm going to send a print of this. This is great for indie developers like ChatGPT. Multicast events run on alt, don't execute on simulated proxies. Call logic to adjust capsule height. What if I'm gonna try and do something. Let me get this. Okay. What I want here is on the variables is crouched. What do we want here? So we're gonna branch if is crouched is equal to true. We're gonna set it to false, and if it's false, we're gonna set it to true. So is crouched set. If he is crouched, then if he isn't, we crouch it. Then we want to replicate this replication. It's actually first none, then we delete this. Scratched. Okay. And now, wait. But my crouch logic is inside the timeline. Make sure your replica has an unwrap background. Okay, move the timeline play logic into both the server side and okay. Is crouched true? False. Okay, so input action. Okay, then play timeline if server owns the character. Mm. Okay, let's set this as replicated. Wait. rep notify. Unwrap is crouch, yeah. Then here, okay. Why? Mm, should those events be mm, should those events be should those events be replicated to all? No. trying to remember here something. Yeah. Mm. If we understand this, it is going to be much easier in the future to replicate things. What? Oh yeah. I think I'm just going to leave this as it is. And I understood that the problem I understood that the problem is with this timeline. What what if we didn't have the timeline? Because the animation is still doing pretty much its job and the visuals are the same. The player doesn't know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. But first, let me see something. Client, okay. Server now. Yeah. So I think I found a solution for this problem. Um, and let me just check here something. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think pretty much the solution is just to remove the timeline and not use timelines on multiplayer because they are progressive things that need authoritative, so they need the server, so timelines should run on server, they cannot run on multicast. So what we're gonna do here is actually we're gonna need to do this. We're gonna remove this. Then we need to set capsule half height to both of them here. Need to put these as 50 here, 50. We're gonna do the same here, and here it's going to be 125. Pretty much just like this. Then we're gonna need to set relative location for the mesh. So we get the mesh here, and this value, okay, I just need to get focused now. X is going to be minus 30, negative 30, and Z it's going to be minus 61. Alright. Alright. Then this one, so let's remove this. Minus 100, okay. Gonna put here this, and we're gonna connect the mesh. This is going to be minus 126, and the location X is going to be 0, so we can remove this now. Just like this, okay. Nice. Now we're gonna need to set relative location here. We're gonna get here the spring arm. Can delete this now. Connect this here. The location Y connects to Y. 87. So this is going to be 87 and 40. So 87 and 40. And then the next one is going to be here, spring arm, just like this. It's going to be 37 and 41.5. Can I delete this now? And now, oh, think it's all good now. Yeah. Server, okay. Then it goes half height 50. This is 125. Then it sets here relative locations for the mesh, okay. And then for the spring arm, should be good. Let's try first with one player, then with two. Yeah, I forgot about one thing. Mm, um, okay. 50, 125 minus 30 minus 61. Okay, let's just control Z everything. So we're back to almost the beginning, to the initial stage. But at least we learned something, and that's the most valuable thing. Let's just see the state of this. I'm here, I crouch, the client goes, but then when I crouch here, this is all good. Okay. No worries, we'll get it next time. At least we understand some RPC stuff, and we can pretty much delete this on rep is crouched. And just, and I'm going to finish the live stream for the day. um I think that this live stream was more for me learning and to just improve this crouch system, but we need to finish it soon. And some other multiplayer stuff which I need to work on. But yeah, that's the live stream for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe so you keep tuned and so you know when the game is coming out, which is soon, which this year before the summer or in the summer. Uh, and yeah, I hope you, if you're a developer, also learn something here. I don't know if anyone's ever going to watch this, but if this if this becomes famous, I hope you understand that there's hard work in this, and this is just not simple because you're using blocks of code. No, that's the opposite. Because you're using blocks of code, you need to understand them, and that's so much harder than not coding, but like to relate everything, to relate each block of code with one another, with each other. I mean, yeah, that's the live stream for today. Bye bye.